world is changing and the world of work is changing. And what Lou told us was, well, recruitment is changing. I still see that a lot of HR processes are not changing. What would your advice be to HR officers in Holland to get something moving?
It's a huge issue. Believe me, I spent many years of my life trying to figure out how to change HR to get HR to change. And I think what I have seen, I'll just give you what I see happening with HR. I see companies that get it, that understand the changes, are getting rid of or decreasing HR. And I see it all over the U.S. All right? That's why one of the reasons for the rise of the RPO, because they're getting rid of recruitment and they're outsourcing it. It's the reason they're going to manage service providers, to manage a lot of the flexible workers and external workforce, all right? None of this is being done, or a little less and less of it is being done by HR. If you look at a company like IBM, they've reduced the scope of human resources in the U.S. from maybe one HR person for 200 or 300 people to one for maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people. So they're shrinking HR down, and they're teaching managers how to do what HR used to do to a large degree. So they're investing a lot more in training. So if I was HR and I was really interested and going to focus on change, I would start to recommend some of these things myself, because I think the people that survive in HR will be the ones who bring the strategic view of HR to the organization. And sure, some of the people you work with may end up losing their job or changing what they do. Hopefully many of them will get new sets of skills and grow along with the change. But I look at the big change, and this back in the 70s, we had very few chief financial officers. Most companies had accountants, and they had bookkeepers, and they may have had a chief accountant, but they did not have a CFO. And I say, what's the difference between a CFO and an accountant? It's about strategy, it's about thinking, it's about meeting the needs of the organization, which in the 70s and 80s was how do we creatively raise money? How do we do leverage buyouts? How do we increase the capital we have in the company? Accountants and bookkeepers don't think like that. We're in the same situation in recruiting.
Let me kind of, just because we have short time, let me kind of relate it slightly different. There's a well-known strategist called Michael Porter. Strategy drives tactics and process. If you have a talent, so this is Kevin's point, if you have a talent acquisition strategy, what is your strategy? That then follows the processes you use. You don't say, not your ATS system, because it says to fill the form in this way. The strategy says how you fill the form and not the ATS vendor. The strategy says how you write ads, not somebody in comp and benefits. So the strategy drives the process, the tactics, and you got to bring the people together. If you've got 5 managers that all think differently because they don't want to do a performance profile or define success because the strategy is wrong. So to me, it's whether I agree with Kevin's trend or immaterial. Whatever the strategy is, has to drive everything else you do. Kevin's tactics of RPO and all this, I don't know. Maybe it's better. Who cares? If that gets you the lowest cost and the best candidate because it matches your strategy, that's the right answer. That's how I would look at it. And I think HR has to be more strategic.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. It's just about, the people in HR that I meet with are not strategic for the most part. They are people who are bookkeepers and accountants, and they don't think strategically.